Chuck D. How's it going, man?
It's good, you know. We're just stopping to rendezvous at our Rebel base in London, which is our epicenter base around the world. We always tell people in the United States, I say, our base has always really been here. So,
Right. Tell us about the new album.
Man Plans, God Laughs is a record that kind of speaks to the war of art as opposed to the art of war, which is also kind of like biblical in a way, because I mean, people in churches pass that around. So you can plan all you want, but God is laughing. So inspired by Run the Jewels, which has had LP and Killer Mike, myself and Gary G. Wismer in the studio, and pretty much was influenced by Yeezus, which I thought was a great sonic template. Kendrick Lamar's point of view. I think Kendrick delivered something that was paying homage to great musicians from the past, and I think he was bold for doing that. Kanye, like I said, is an incredible MC. I mean, he's got my respect over the years as an MC. I personally think a lot of MCs sound alike. A lot of them got the same voice. Like when you hear Method Man, you're like, well, he could rhyme the alphabet, you know? When voices are in the same mid-range, then they need other things. They need topics that are powerful. They need collaborations that kind of trigger their differences. The Pimp a Butterfly, the logical thing for Kendrick to do is to reach into some real organic funk and to ride on top of that.
With recent events, what's happened in America and Ferguson and stuff, it really does feel like nothing's changed.
The United States is a gigantic piece of turf. How's it all going to synonymously all fix itself with 300 million people? It's impossible. I think the United States is outdated because it's so big. I don't think a country of that size can exist unless it's really united in all kinds of different ways. And it's disunited as it can't handle the population and the needs. It's like the Soviet Union, you know, it's just like it could do a free fall because it's just too big. And you see, like in Europe, you have smaller countries that are more stealth, and they can kind of like deal with themselves. You know, initially the idea worked in the 1800s. Maybe in the 1900s with wars, you know? Yeah. But in the 21st century, it's an outdated idea for something to be that big. Matter of fact, it's an outdated idea for many nations probably going in deeper into the 21st century. Nations are outdated. It's like, if I could communicate to you, right? What the hell do we need a government for? It's probably going to be a total world governing order, and not the way the New World Order is looking at it. United Nations tried to put it all together years ago, and they made that obsolete. So now they're making up all kinds of enemy names. They're making up names and enemies. They always made up enemies to make people just go and say, "Oh my, ISIS." You know, it's like, okay, they popped up after the last guy left. So before it was, the Taliban. Now it's ISIS. It's like this ain't sports. We have to understand that the art of the earth is earth itself. And the earth without art is just Take art out of the middle of the earth, and that's what you have. EH. Yeah, anyway, so you was at Wireless.
Before you went on stage, there was a collective from the UK that went on stage. They go by the name of BBK, Boy Better Know.
Yeah,
Skepta, Jamie, Jammer. And then Jammer was like, oh yeah, I caught up with Public Enemy. How does it feel for you to see the way that things have developed in the hip-hop game?
In the beginnings, you had a lot of women artists. You had the We Papa Girl rappers. You had the She-Rockers that developed out of Griff's findings. And you had women and men kind of like on an equal status. DJs were doing their thing. You had groups like Hijack and, London Posse, and Overlord X and guys like that. So we wanted to encourage that. And that's what we wanted to do. Say, find your own identity. You try to be like the United States or be like New York, you're going to get your feelings hurt. Nobody can emulate New York and the United States. If you came from the suburbs of New York, you were tested. Be yourself. Be the best that London can be. Do something that New Yorkers have a difficult problem with. And I finally saw that with BK. They were really embedded in their thing. Nobody can tell them how to do their thing better than how they did their thing. You can be influenced and inspired by it. Like I told you, like the Public Enemy records are inspired by those records. Right? I mean, we're going to be Public Enemy at the end of the day.
I wanted to talk to you about the streaming aspect. Like, you guys were always ahead of the curve with regards to embracing the concept of the MP3 and, you know, releasing music on the internet when everybody else was still trying to figure it out. What do you take of the whole situation with streaming now, the way that was working?
It's like renting music, rent to own. I mean, I'm a big fan of downloading. You know, if you like a Drake album, you like Ghostface Killah album, I want to download it and keep it. Hell, I want to rent something for. Streaming is radio. It's radio with a little bit of a kick to it. It's like having flavored water. There's certain things that's going on in rap music and hip hop, I think, when it comes down to like an older demographic, like we call them hip hop gods with 15 years careers along. Certain things I think you should leave alone. Like, don't have your record ever go past 3.5 minutes. Cut out the third verses. I think a lot of artists do collabs because I don't think they have enough for the third verse. I think if you said and done it all before, you have to come up with new ways. I think if you have a career of 15 years or more, you know, especially if you're over like 35 and 40, then you should actually know that your language should be sharp, but your words should be sparse. You got to give them something that they never ever seen before and leave them awestruck. That's how you spell audience, A-W-E, audience. Thanks, Sid.